Hi, welcome to Talk About here on Shaw TV North Island. My name is John Twigg. Thanks for tuning in. Our guests today are Rose Klukas. She's the Economic Development Officer for the City of Campbell River, and Kevin Brooks, who is something called Development Services Supervisor. Yes. I know what an Economic Development Officer does. Kevin, what does a Development Services Supervisor do?
The Development Services Supervisor is part of the Community Planning and Development Services Department. And the Development Services Supervisor works directly with the development community for what we call current planning. So it's all the new development that is occurring in town. So I liaise with the development community and work with our planning group to deal with new development.
Okay, so you're not the planner.
It is a planning position, so
okay.
I am a planner, but they gave it a fancy title, the Development Services Supervisor, because I do supervise the other planners within the department also.
And I gather you've got a handle on the stats of building permits?
Some of it, yes.
What's going on with the pace of development in Campbell River?
We've actually been very, very busy this year. With building permits, we're at around 300 building permits this year. But with that, we also...
The dollar figure?
Dollar figure off the top of my head, I'd have to look into that.
I think we're up about 10%, but it's just guessing.
It's about that. It's between 10 and 15% over this year. For development permits, for like rezonings and the rest of development permits and other new development, we're up about 30% this year.
Right.
Typically, we float around 70 applications a year for bigger developments. This year, we're already at 95, so we expect that will be over 100 by the end of the year.
Now, there's a lot of stuff going on downtown, but I gather, I guess that would include subdivisions and things?
Yeah, that includes subdivisions and the other developments that are occurring throughout the community, not just downtown, but as you know,
Campbell River North?
Yeah, Campbell River North, and the Willow Point area. We're seeing stuff occur in the Muircroft Village area. Yeah. So we're busy from north to south in the community right now.
Well, as we're recording this, the city just finished its budget process, and I got the news release, but did you pick up a staff or two to handle the increase thing, or was it, I think there was a couple of staff changes.
There is a staff change in our building department. We are going to have a certified building official, which is approved, which is a building inspector position, exactly. Yes. Because what we found there's been changes at the provincial level in the Building Act, and those changes have actually put a much more onerous process on how building permits and building inspections need to be done, and with that there's additional work. And so to keep up with our growing economy and our increase in development that we're seeing, we just need that extra body on the ground to actually, so we can turn over our building permits in a reasonable time frame for our developments to occur.
Now I'm going to get to the Rose and economic development because frankly I'm really keen to get there, but I just want to clean up a bit. The Sustainable Official Community Plan is in process of being updated. Where are we at
currently? We have gone through 5 consultations. We've talked to in the 1,000 people, around that range, and it's gone to council for first and second reading, and we're going to speak to council at a committee of a whole in the early new year. The ideal situation, we'll have it adopted probably by the end of January, early February.
Yeah. Now, is that mainly there's changes in Quinsam Heights? Is that the gist?
Predominantly. The overall goal of this round of the official community plan was just some housekeeping amendments. Yeah. What we're trying to do is make the official community plan and our zoning bylaw consistent. Right now, there's inconsistencies between the two, and it's creating some confusion for our development community. Right. So we're trying to streamline it and actually just make it consistent, so it's easier to understand.
Yeah. Okay. Rose, why do we need more development? Or do we?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here in Campbell River, and when I was kind of investigating the town before accepting the job here, I looked back at some of the things that have happened here, which was very similar to other communities in British Columbia, including the impact on the forest industry. Yes. But what is really neat about Campbell River is that even after a mill closure, we still see steady growth here, and so it shows the commitment of the people to the community. So you always need growth, definitely, and I'm happy to be here and be part of that.
Well, I'm fascinated by your background. You grew up in Kitimat, and you were economic development officer when a whole bunch of big projects happened there, especially the proposal for a petrochemical refinery.
Yes, lots of projects. In fact, during my tenure there was a new aluminum smelter built. So that was a almost $6 billion project, and it opened in 2015. Lots of LNG proposals for the north as well, and a refinery proposal.
Now, before we went on air, we were talking a bit, and you're very well informed about the technology of oil and gas. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
But there's not much here. We got a bit of coal.
Yes.
We're never going to develop. Actually, there is a coal mine to the west.
Well, I would never say never to almost anything. So in the early 2000s or in the mid 2000s, you saw methanol plants, for example, closing in British Columbia because there was the price of gas was too high and there was a shortage of gas. And there were actually LNG proposals for import facilities into British Columbia. And then technology changes and suddenly you have a glut of natural gas. So nothing is impossible. Large development takes time, and oftentimes people lose patience because it doesn't happen overnight. So for example, LNG, which is also proposed for even here in Campbell River and on the island. I had the pleasure of visiting an LNG facility in Oman, and they told us that from the time the project was conceived to the time that they turned the key to turn it on was 10 years. And so, it takes a long time and people forget that.
Now, Deborah Sargent, the new city manager, a year a bit? She's from, was it Terrace?
No, she came from Smithers.
Smithers, okay, that was close.
Yeah.
And you're from Kitimat. I mean, those are pretty close.
I think it's pure coincidence. It's close, but not that close. The drive is 3 hours, and the north definitely looks different than here. That's 3 hours with not much in between.
Yes, I've been there. So, and you have some First Nations background.
I do, yes.
Was that a factor in coming here? Because First Nations, we got, 3 reserves, and there soon might be a 4th?
A huge part of my personal philosophy with anything, but particularly economic development, is working hand in hand with First Nations.
Was that one of the reasons they hired you, do you think?
I think that's a strong part of my portfolio, for sure. I also have a daughter who is of First Nations descent that we adopted, so I do have personal experience as well.
Well, when you look at the economic development opportunities in Campbell River, and frankly, I've been back in town. I've been spending a lot of time all my life in and out of town. That's one of the big opportunities, but it's also one of the big needs. Where do you see that now? You've been there for 6 months? Yeah.
Very similar to my previous conversation about development of large industry, working with First Nations takes time. It's a relationship building, and that doesn't happen overnight. And so, it's high on my list, and I filter everything I do through that. And I hope that I've been making some connections, and so that's where I'll continue.
So tell us a bit about what you're focusing on.
Well, you talked earlier about, what an economic development officer does. My day is never as it seems. So I'll leave the office the night before with my calendar nicely filled out, and one phone call, and the day looks different. So I would say the biggest skill an economic developer needs is flexibility and the ability to go with the flow. And I think I mentioned it to you earlier that there are many things outside of my control. So, I haven't yet figured out how to control the price of oil, and we see how much that impacts all development. So you do definitely have to have that flexibility. I am very keen on working with existing businesses here in Campbell River. So business retention and expansion is not just a tagline for an economic development officer. It's key. People have already invested in the community. They're already living here. And so I'd like to work with those businesses to see where I can help them stay or maybe even grow.
Two of the best untold stories here, York Machine and Daigle. Now, I'm sure people watching, some of them will know some of that, but like, I'm a lifelong business journalist in a way. I was surprised at how much York Machine is doing, but very few people know.
Every week I'm surprised. I'm meeting new businesses, and we have some really cutting edge businesses here in Campbell River. I think a lot of people choose Campbell River because it is, well, such a great place to live. We feel like we've won the lottery moving here. I mean, it's
great climate, affordable, accessible.
Absolutely.
5 minutes to the TV studio.
Absolutely. And I think one thing people forget is how close we are to Vancouver as well.
Yeah.
So part of my marketing push is to highlight that. We have an airport. You know, I can drive 10 minutes, I'm at the airport, hop on a flight, half an hour later I'm downtown, or I'm at YVR.
Yeah.
And then on the train, another half hour, and I'm downtown. Yeah. And I've had investors talk to me about that and have said that that is one reason they're looking at Campbell River. Yeah. So we forget that. And I mean, it's always the case, right? When you're living in a community, you forget all the great attributes that make it a great place to live and invest.
Kevin, what about the availability of developable land in Campbell River? Like, I kind of know the answer, but you tell us.
You know, if you look at, we've had several studies done over the last couple of years to actually look at what is the availability of land, infill opportunities, and you know, based on those studies, there is a stock of land still available. You know, we have a stock of land in the south in the Maryland Estates area. We have the Jubilee Heights area. We also have areas within Quinsam Heights.
Well, I'm thinking industry.
Oh, for industrial lands.
Yes.
And there's actually quite a bit of industrial land, you know, based on the similar studies done by the Rollo back when the official community plan was done. At that time, they predicted we had about a 50-year supply if we had significant uptake. Now, you know, with the Catalyst site, there's a lot of industrial lands around the airport. We do have availability of good land for different types of industrial uses too. We have quite a diverse. We have land that's quite good for the heavy industrial type uses. Then we have land that's really quite suitable for those light industrial uses.
And we got lots of power and lots of water.
Exactly. So, you know, we're well positioned right now.
Job should be easy.
It's not always easy, but it's always a pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, Kevin mentioned the pulp mill site, and that has gone through a few owners, I think, and nothing's happening. What can you tell us?
It's the problem of economic development. Oftentimes people think nothing is happening. In the meantime, sometimes there are things happening in the background. And, you know, again, you asked about my kind of personal thoughts on economic development, and I tried to be as transparent as possible. But when you're dealing with investors, you can't put things on the table, right?
$50 million projects coming in that they don't want the world to know about. Right,
and you have to respect that. Confidentiality is a key part of being in economic development, well, being a local government worker, right?
Yeah.
And
but it's a small town.
It is.
It is a small town.
Word gets out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's always on our mind, and we hope to see development there.
Yeah, I've got some ideas. And now the 9.5 acre site, or the 6 plus 3, is it 6 plus 3.5? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. What's happening there?
Well, there's a formation of a waterfront task force, so you'll see more ideas come out for that piece of land. Yeah.
Sometimes we ask questions we know the answer to. Now, does tourism figure in your portfolio?
In the moment, during the transition period, I am working to support that transition, definitely.
But it's splitting off, isn't it?
There's an RFP out right now for a tourism service provider, and that closes...
Registered financial plan. No.
Request for proposal. Request for proposal, sorry. And I think that closes next week, and then council will have before them, you know, a number of proposals, and we'll look to the future on how that unfolds. Yeah. So in the meantime, I am working with the current Visitor Information Center to transition to the new model.
Yeah, and then it'll be autonomous. Is that right?
It will be a contract position, and there will be a visitor not a visitor, a tourism advisory committee as well. And so, I will sit on that committee, for example, and that committee will work with the contractor and report to council.
Yeah. Now, the 9.5 acre site, is the city has 3.5 and the Campbell River Indian Band has 6, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And so, with the waterfront task force that is being established right now, they have a mandate to develop a strategy on how that 3.5 acre site will be addressed with significant input from the community. So their goal is to go out to the community, okay, what should this look like? How should it be? How should it be integrated into our downtown, with the Downtown Refresh Project and all the other different programs that we've been doing down, like the Small Initiatives program and that. Yeah. How does all that tie together? And so that waterfront task force is going to be looking at that and talking to the community to come up with some ideas to really tackle that 3.5 acre site and hopefully be able to integrate in some of those ideas with the entire site down there.
Yeah, the Campbell River Indian Band has been awful quiet about the 9.5 acre site. Can you give us any insight into what their thinking is?
Go ahead.
At this stage, I don't know what their insight is. They were involved several years ago. They did come out to a workshop that did occur down there. Yeah. But I think what we're looking at is something that's a little bit more broad-reaching and comprehensive that really looks at tying the entire community together and that utilizing that 3.5 site to begin that dialogue.
Okay. Now, food self-sufficiency, that's an issue that's very dear to me, and it's part of the Sustainable Official Community Plan. Does your job involve any related projects that relate to food self-sufficiency?
So I can't really speak specifically to that at this point, but I will say that part of the good part of economic development being an in-house model is that I work very closely with all the departments, and especially with development services. So as the projects unfold, absolutely I'll be involved.
Yeah.
And the Sustainable Community Plan does articulate the support by the city for urban agriculture and food self-sufficiency, specifically through the agriculture plan. Yeah. A lot of the discussion we've been having as part of the Sustainable Official Community Plan review is that intent of looking at Quinsam Heights, because it has been identified in the agriculture plan as one of those key areas to help reach that 10% goal that was set.
Even that's the goal, 10% by 2030?
Correct, yes.
Which is frankly inadequate, but it's better than, 2.5% now?
Yeah, we're floating around there somewhere.
Yeah, so anyway. Okay, time's running along. The Lower Shoppers Row Downtown Refresh upgrades got $250,000 in the budget for design next year and $2.9 million for construction in 2019.
Yes.
I'm not sure either or both of you, but what's happening there?
So the Downtown Refresh project, which I'll assume you're aware of, is
not much.
Okay. So it's a program or is a project that we've been running since approximately April. We started with a survey and we've done numerous consultations over the last 5 or 6 months with regards to how should we be dealing with our downtown. One of the goals of the Refresh project is to make sure that we're supporting our existing businesses down there, and you've seen that through our small initiatives like the Campbell River Live Streets, those programs. But it's also a bigger project also looking at the downtown as a whole and how we can be ready as a city for when development occurs in our community. Yeah. The Shoppers Row project was identified through a community prioritization. Where in the downtown, so if we're going to invest money as a city, where should it be first? And the Shoppers Row project was identified as one of those key priorities to basically upgrade Shoppers Row to address things like the trees, things like...
How about like street people without washrooms?
The homelessness issue has been contemplated as part of the Downtown Refresh project. You can't deal with redesigning a space without trying to deal with some of those social aspects also. Yeah. So all the different players, the RCMP, our social service providers, all those have been part of the overall discussions throughout the entire process.
Yeah. Now, we had the mayor on in the previous show, and he mentioned that the parking is being reconfigured in Tyee Plaza. Is that part of this too, I would think?
The owner of Tyee Plaza has been part of the process, and discussions have been had with the owner with regards to how that parking works. They hasn't been specifically as part of the Downtown Refresh project, but it will be informed, the way they design it will be informed by what comes out of the Downtown Refresh process.
If I recall, they're going from herringbone angle parking to square parking, but the mayor is making sure there's room for F-150s.
Yeah, yes, that's the intent. Basically, if they're going to redesign their parking lot, it needs to meet the bylaws we have in place.
Yeah.
And our bylaws have in place design our parking stalls so that they actually meet the needs of our community.
Yeah.
And so that is something that'll have to be contemplated when they do redesign that
Good
lot.
for you. You know, the city, and this was the gist of my show with the mayor, is very well received by the citizenry. There was an opinion poll, a survey, and there's other awards that have come along, and like Campbell River is working remarkably well, especially having just lost a pulp mill. So you're hearing some echoes of that in the fine detail of how we're going to do the parking lot. It's actually good. It's a good news story. Now, also, this municipal broadband network, we're going to have Wi-Fi. Is that an economic development issue?
It absolutely is, and we do have Wi-Fi, but what the city is investing in is some high-speed or some fiber infrastructure. And so as you can probably see every time you watch the TV, technology is a huge component of economic development, and growth in that sector is very significant. And so we would like to take advantage of that. And there's lots of reasons for that. We've already talked about it. People more than ever are choosing places to live because they want to live there.
Just a sec, I got to check my email.
and technology.
I had the school people on last season. And I made the joke and said, because of the, email in the classroom is deadly.
Yes. But this particular project will provide enterprise level, so equal upload and download speeds. And we're hoping that will attract technology companies, grow existing companies that are already here in Campbell River, and attract families to live in Campbell River. And that part isn't hard, and it's part of my job as well.
What will the reach be? I happen to be in Campbellton quite a bit. Will we have Wi-Fi in Campbellton, or is that just like Tyee Plaza?
No, it's not just Tyee Plaza, but it is the downtown core at this point. That's the first phase. And so I'm not sure how it'll unfold in future years, but to start with, the investment is made to the downtown core.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a huge investment, and Campbell River will be the first municipality on Vancouver Island to offer that. So a big reason for people that need that kind of fiber to relocate here.
So they can do video on their laptops.
They can do video and a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And technology, we often think of technology as our cell phone and our iPads, but big industries are also heavily invested in technology. Technology crosses all lines.
Yeah. Okay, we got a bit of time. 5 minutes. Aquaculture. Now, we don't have any fish farms in town, but we've got a huge industry here.
We do.
How does it fit in your portfolio?
We do have a huge industry here, and we have three head offices here in Campbell River, and farms not too far away. I had the opportunity to actually take a tour of a farm in the summertime, which was about an hour out of here. Very much a part of my portfolio, and so will help to support that industry where possible.
What have you found in terms of your time allocation? What industries or sectors or issues
That's a good question, because I am one person.
Up from none.
Yeah, I spent.
Well, we had River Corp, and that was a issue. But anyway,
I try to have.
You're in-house now.
I'm in-house, and I want to be accessible. So I try to be accessible. If you picked up your phone and phoned me today, I would try to get out and meet with you and chat about your ideas. But a lot of my time is spent talking with local businesses. A lot of my time right now is on the technology sector, because we are making that big investment as a municipality, and so we want to strike while the iron is hot, I think is the saying. And so that's a big part of my. The other part is working on the marketing materials. Because it's new in-house, I really did start at ground zero, and I'm working to create a community profile, which I hope to release in the next week or so.
Do you have a website?
I
know the city.
Yeah, it'll be part of the city's website, and we're just working on updating that portion of the website. And hopefully in January you'll see new information about economic development on that website.
The city website is a concern to me. I mean, I know they've put work into it. It's compared to other communities, it's probably great. And you can get city council video there. So I'm not being negative. But I find the site a bit clunky and hard to find things. Like, I tried to go on the site to find your job titles. I mean, I know, but how do you spell Klukas? And what's Kevin's title? And I couldn't. I ended up phoning Julie, and she said, "Oh, I'll send you a link." But seriously, for Campbell River economic development, you got to have search engine optimization.
A website is a critical part of economic development. Many investors will do their preliminary investigation of a community by looking at the website. There's no question about it. So hopefully early January I'll have some good news about the website.
Right, good stuff. Okay, 1 minute. Is there something I didn't cover you wanted to toss in?
I think one thing that I think is very important that has happened with Rose, starting with it, is the relationship that we have now with the economic development component of the city. Rose had mentioned it. We work unbelievably close now. With our business licensing program, we have developers that are coming into town that
compared with River Corp in a separate office.
Exactly. So. My team and the Community Planning and Development Services, we liaise with developers from all over the world. We liaise with businesses from around town, and having Rose in-house, we're able to join people together a lot better, and vice versa.
Go for coffee.
Exactly, and so that relationship and the model that we have now, I think, is working fabulously.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's a good way to wrap. On time today, Chaz. Okay, my guests have been Rose Klukas and Kevin Brooks of the City of Campbell River. Thank you to Tiana, Andrew, and Sam of CARIHI Media Class. I don't think they call it that, but anyway, thanks, guys. And Chaz, thanks for producing. And I got time to plug my Art of Art show. My father's artworks are in a gallery that I've set up in Campbellton at the Mackey Research Building. So if you're interested in that, I'd be happy to see you there. Thanks for watching.